we're big believers that marketing and phone performance are tied together. Like you can't have one or the other, like space and time, right? They're the same thing. So they're inherently tied, but that includes not just inbound. Okay, yeah, you're doing digital marketing, community outreach, referral sources. That's going to generate inbound calls. Okay, so that's where the attachment is there. But we got to talk about the outbound calls as well. So let's list all the daily and weekly outbound calls that have to be made. And Rick, you hit the nail on the head. It's missed calls. Okay, so this should be like fundamental, right? If we have a missed call voicemail, we want to call that voicemail back as quick as possible. Okay, or if we have a missed call, no voicemail, we want to call that one back as soon as possible. And we know the behavior of a new patient, they might not put up with voicemail, right? So anytime you see a missed call, no voicemail, in your front desk head, in your head, it's kind of good practice to think, hey, that was a new patient. And you got to call them back within a few minutes. Okay, these are all, again, remember, outbound calls. We've only done 2. Okay. Who's doing did not book calls right now? Let me ask you that. So if I called your clinic and I was a new patient and I said, you know what, I'll call you back later, and I got off the phone, would I be getting a call from you that evening again or the next day? Did not book. Okay, that would be an outbound call. Okay, Deb's on the win back game. Okay, so is Jenna. Yeah, that's like not even low-hanging fruit. That's like fruit lying on the ground. Just like pick it up. If you call 10 people,
fruit lying on the ground.
It's just lying on the ground. If they called you first, it's like they made the first connection. But if you had 10 people who originally called you and didn't book on the first call, and you called them all back, then you can expect like 2 or 3 of them to book back in. Okay, so those things add up a week. So those are did not book calls. Okay, this is another big one. We covered this in the workshop part of Marketing Tuesday. You're going to be you can use marketing tracking numbers inside CallHero, and it's like, say you did a TMJ ad. It will you can track how many people called from that ad. Okay, and again, say 5 people don't book on the first call from that ad. Are you calling them back? Right? Are you calling them back? Okay.
You know what's interesting about that, Sanjeev? Right now, like we're running some tests on Google Ads right now for the community. And what we're seeing is that like we give 2 options for that prospect to leave their contact. Either they leave an email or they leave like a phone or they call, right? Yep. And 80% of the time they're actually calling, right? You know, and what's interesting is that out of the 80% that they're calling, these clinics are not answering the phones. Like they only answer like maybe 30% of the time. So there's you spend all this money in Google Ads, is costing like $20-$30 a phone call. And we're tracking this using these like CallHero marketing tracking numbers, but they're not answering, you know? So at a minimum, if you're not answering, at least call them back.
So if you don't answer, yes, your outbound's your safety net, right? So you should be answering the phone, and like say the target's 95%, we should be booking around 80%. That would be the target of all new patients. But if you don't, you still have a net to get them back in. Okay, and again, you're not going to get 100% back, but even 20-30% back is going to have a huge impact on your monthly revenue. Yeah, so your outbound game.
If that makes sense, type in DNB if that makes sense. This is like a really critical point. Type in DNB if that makes sense, because you should not be spending money on marketing like Facebook, like Google Ads, like doctor marketing if you are not answering the phones, because the majority of you are not, right?
Yeah, we see it. we look at the analytics, right? But so we know what to talk to you guys about, and that's why we're talking about outbound. Okay. All right, let's move on. What's another outbound that's left? Okay, let's round out the picture here. You can use outbound calls for fall-offs. So these are patients that are on an active plan of care that don't have a future appointment booked. Okay. For example, if I had a low back issue and I came to your clinic, and you know as my clinician, hey, like you've seen this tons of times, it's going to take me 8 sessions, around 8 to 10 sessions. And I come in only for 2. And then I don't book my future appointment. if you can, you find that out, you got to call me. You make an outbound call to me and book me back in. Well, let me ask you guys this. If that happened, if I was your patient, that happened at your clinic, write the word fall off if I would get a phone call from you in that situation. I only came in twice. I had a little bit of pain relief, and I was just like, didn't book my future one. Would I get a call from your clinic, an outbound call? Are you coming back in? Okay. Write the word fall off. So Carl wrote it in there. Okay. And again, I'm just asking in the chat because, again, it gives Rick and I a sense of what to structure these calls, right? But it looks like we got a couple people doing fall-offs, but you can use outbound for fall-offs. And I'm not going to get into this one too much too, but you can call past patients that were discharged, okay? And you can call them to check up on them to see how they're doing. That's an outbound strategy, okay? I did this with a owner out here in Edmonton when I first met him. He said, how do I get, I just need 3-4 more assessments a week. I said, okay, block an hour of your time and just randomly go through your past patient list and call people. Reactivate them, see if they need your help. They have new benefits, old injuries, nagging injuries, like repetitive stress or posture issues. And sometimes people just need a little tug. Remember, they were your customer last year or 6 months ago, 12 months ago. And again, you might get 2 or 3 just from that hour. But times 4 weeks, that's 8 to 10 new assessments a month. Is that worth 4 hours of your time? 4 hours to make approximately $5,000 in revenue. He thought it was, and now he does this religiously, right? So reactivations, that's an outbound strategy, okay? And lastly, AR, okay? So if you're having AR greater than 90 days, that game is won on the phone and by emails, okay? So I want to, overall, it's not like you have to have all these in working order, but working towards them, yes, okay? But these are all examples of how an outbound strategy at your clinic could help you increase your revenue, okay? Does everybody understand that? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you're with me, okay? Because I'm going to jump to CallHero next and show you how to track outbounds in there, okay? Okay, how to record. So you want to be able to see if these are happening, and you want to be able to listen to a couple to see if they're actually working, okay? So let's go to CallHero, okay? And I'm logged into CallHero right now. Let me move my pen. And if I scroll to the left, okay, you're going to have this section here called forward, okay? Or I'm going to show you in did not book too, but let's go to forward, okay? When I go to forward, and I'm giving you a walkthrough, but there's an instructional video on this too, okay? You can designate in your clinic, okay, inactive or active, who can make an outbound call through CallHero. Because what CallHero is going to do is if you make an outbound call using CallHero, it's going to record that outbound call so you can listen to it, okay? But what's special about the recording, Rick? You want to share with people? What would you tell them? You're going to use CallHero to make an outbound call. How do we keep it private and secure? Only one way is recorded. Right? So only what your staff say are recorded. Who they're calling may not be recorded. Okay? So it's it's a single side. That way we don't need consent of the patient. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one-way recording, right? So the patient's voice doesn't get recorded,
Yeah.
So
again, give me a yes in the chat if you followed that. Okay? You can add staff in CallHero to make outbound calls. And when they call out, okay, only it's recording their voice, not the patient's. And then you can listen to those and give your staff feedback on how they're doing. Okay, so I think everybody gets it from the staff, right? Okay. What you can do, I won't go through the process, but you can just add new staff as you go. Okay, full name or phone number. Okay. So you just click on this little button at the bottom. Okay, you can see I added Bree as a person in my business who can make an outbound call from CallHero, and instead of showing Bree's home number, okay, instead of showing Bree's home number, it will show the clinic number. Okay, so I'm going to wear my Bree hat right now. I'm Bree, and I can literally just show the caller ID, like what I want to show, okay, the clinic number, and I can type it in here. Okay, I can start typing the phone number. Okay, so there's also some settings down here where you can choose who you are and select, hey, I'm going to call from the clinic phone number via clinic phone, and I can choose to record it or not. Okay, I can choose to record it or not, on or off for this call. I can click the number and then make the call. Okay, so the benefit of this is if you have admin staff working at home or clinicians calling out patients at home, they don't have to expose their personal numbers. When they call out, it'll show the clinic number. Okay, and for all those outbound calls we just went through, that entire types of outbound calls right down to AR, you can use this feature. Okay, so where does it go? If I did that and I was making my did not book calls, let's say, where does that recording go? Okay, it'll go here, okay, in your outbound call log. Okay, so you can see at this clinic, these are all the outbound calls that were made, okay, by me, Bree, and they got recorded. Okay, and so notes I put in here, and now I have access to them, outbound call recordings. Okay, one thing we got a couple more minutes left, but one thing I do want to address is this feature is like evolving, right? We're continuously working on it. We're happy to get this out to you now, but you're going to be able to see over time, like, hey, was this a did not book call, an AR call? You can do that now through notes, but working on better tagging, right? To show you where the call is coming, what the source of the call was. It was a missed call, no voicemail, missed call, voicemail, did not book, came from, you called outbound from a marketing tracking number that did not book, and you'll be able to get a lot more richer information on how you're doing on a certain type of outbound call. You have your inbound statistics, okay? And now we have the outbound too, okay? So your marketing generates your digital, your community outreach, your referrals. You're using marketing tracking numbers, let's say. They're generating you calls. You can see your answer rates and booking rates. You can listen to those calls. You do your win backs. Those are all inbound stuff. But at some point now, you can use CallHero to make outbound calls and see how you're doing capturing those and closing those leads.